Shabbat Achim Gam Yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim. Shabbat Achim Gam Yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim. Shabbat Achim Gam Yachad.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Okay, that was really quiet here. Let's try that. You guys were all just talking a minute ago. Let's try that again. Shabbat Shalom. There we go. It's so exciting to be able to celebrate Shabbat with all of you who are here in our garden at Temple Isaiah, and for all of you who are zooming in from different places. It is nice to be in community on this lovely Shabbat day where we get to celebrate Talia becoming a bat mitzvah. If you are new to Temple Isaiah, I am Rabbi Miller, and I'm going to be leading the service with Cantor Korn and Daniel Lockhart, who is on the piano. As we settle into the service, if you have a cell phone, this is a great time to make sure that it is off, both if you're sitting here or on Zoom, because we like to, as this is a service, to be able to be very present in the moment and not distracted by other things around us. We also ask that you please refrain from taking pictures during this service. There'll be plenty of opportunities to capture the moment after this. For those, we have this tradition at Temple Isaiah that there's going to be many times that we want to tell Talia that she is doing an amazing job of leading us in prayer, of reading Torah, of teaching Torah. And so we have what is called the shul clap. You can try it here. And you can try it on Zoom, because there we go, we can see you, and she can see you. All that love gets brought to her. And if you are on Zoom, to know that you can send lots of messages in the chat. Talia is going to be able to read all of those lovely messages later in the day. So with that, we take a deep breath in and out. Another breath in and out. And we're able to be here in this moment. It takes a lot of time and preparation to become a bat mitzvah. It takes a lot of time and preparation to be able to make this space in our lives to just be. Not to do, but to just be. To leave aside our schoolwork and our chores, to be able to leave aside our to-do lists, to just be able to be in this moment. But here we are in this moment in which Talia becomes a bat mitzvah, and it's our tradition that on the moment that you become a bat mitzvah, you receive a talit, this prayer shawl that we wear. On the four corners of the talit, you have this seat. And if you look at them closely, you'll see there's these strings, but they're twisted and turned and knotted. And on the four of them, the ancient rabbis taught us that if you count them all up, it ends up equaling to 613. That's actually the same number of mitzvot that the rabbis say are in the Torah. The mitzvot, the commandments, the responsibilities that we take on as a Jewish people. That when you become a bat mitzvah, you take on this commitment to bringing these mitzvot into your lives. And so each time you come back in prayer, you put on your talit, and you're reminded of this very moment when you take on the commandments as a bat mitzvah. So it is our tradition that the parents present their daughter with the talit. So I invite up now Randy and Alexis to present Talia with her talit. A little bit closer to the microphone so you can still look at her.
Talia, a little more than 9 years ago today, you had a birthday coming up, and I was excited, and you were excited, and I said, Talia, how old are you going to be? And you said, 4. Daddy, I'm going to be 4. And I said, 4? Wow, that's old. And you replied, 4? 4, that's not old. 5 is old. Well, you made it through 4 and 5, and now here we are at your bat mitzvah. I won't say that you're old because you've grown up and you know better. So today doesn't make you old, but you are crossing a threshold. You're crossing the threshold of young adulthood in the Jewish community. And unlike turning 4 or 5, this isn't automatic. You've worked hard for this. You've earned it. You've shown maturity and responsibility in the process. And you've made me proud. There are a few things I want you to think about and remember today as you go through your bat mitzvah service. First, I want you to go slow today, to look around and see and remember the faces of your friends and family, all here for you on your day. I want you to cherish this moment. And I hope you'll have many others, but this is a big one, and it's worth breathing it in and holding on to this. And second, I want you to think about and remember how this feels today, to work hard for something important, and you have worked hard. You've worked hard to earn this right and be a part of contributing to something bigger than yourself. Working hard and contributing to your community will bring you meaning and joy for the rest of your life, as I know it does today. And finally, today, later, we'll pass the Torah from the Ark through the hands of your grandparents and parents to you, where you'll read from the book of our people. I want you to think about that, but imagine your great-grandparents standing behind the Ark. Imagine your great-grandparents standing behind the Ark and their parents behind them and their grandparents behind them in an unbroken chain going back 200 generations to Moses himself. Today, you form a new link in that chain as you chant the Torah. Remember our ancestors, and let this be a source of identity for you. As you read the Torah before your family and friends and your Jewish community, know that we are here for you today and always. Talia, you were born with a spark of joy from your first day with us. You've carried that spark of joy to today, and I know you'll carry it forward and share it with everyone around you. You've certainly shared your joy with me. You've made me very happy and very proud. I love you. Mazel tov.
Talia, I can't tell you how proud we are to be standing here with you today. This is a day that always seems so far off, but yet here we are, and we always talk about that. I hope you can take in this moment, this day, and everyone here and afar to support you, and all that you have accomplished to get here today. Since I was never bat mitzvahed, I never understood the hard work and dedication that it took to get to this point. I was really worried because I didn't know how to support you, but it turns out I didn't have to worry. You took the lead. You had this inner self-motivation and drive that was unwavering. This was something that you wanted to do, not for me or for Daddy, but for you. Watching you prepare for today and grow and learn through this process has been a shining light for me, especially during this last year with the pandemic. Talia, you have such an inspiring joy and spirit about you. You have always lit up the room with your smile and your positive attitude and your dance moves. Your zest is contagious to everyone lucky enough to be around you. You're a dedicated friend, sister, a loving daughter, granddaughter, and great-granddaughter, and you care so much for the people around you. Through volunteering with Girl Scouts and now preparing for your bat mitzvah, I have seen firsthand how well you connect with others and share your positive energy. and I know that you will continue to share that joy and spark with others and working towards making the world a better place. About a month ago, we had a celebration of life for Grandma Ida. The celebration of life happened to take place on the first night of Passover. Although I had really wanted to do a Seder for Passover that night, I just could not fathom putting that together the same day. It was too much. But you wouldn't have it. It was so important for you to celebrate Passover and to have a traditional Seder. You swooped in and set a beautiful table, put together the Seder plate, made haroset, and made sure that we had a Seder together as a family. It was one of the most special Seders that I have been a part of, and I could see how much it meant for you to continue the tradition, even when I was not able to do it. For me, it was a huge gift and meant more than you know. I couldn't be prouder of you. I am beyond excited to see where you go from here and what you do next. I have tremendous confidence in you and know that you will make the world a better place. No matter what you do, you have our love and support. And I know that all of your great-grandparents, Oma, Opa, Grandma Betty and Grandpa Dad, Grandpa Frank and Nana, and Grandma Ida and Grandpa Bernie are watching you today with pure joy. Here is the blessing that your dad and I have for you on this momentous day. May you carry the lessons you have learned from your commitment and perseverance in preparation for your bat mitzvah with you on your journey through life.
May you continue to be kind and caring person and a blessing to those around you.
May your life be filled with love and peace.
May your passion and enthusiasm propel you to spread joy and hope and possibility to those whose lives you touch.
May you take the gifts and talents that you have been given and make the world a better place for everyone.
May you always remember this special day and cherish the memory of your Jewish ancestors who came before you and made it possible for you to stand here today with pride in being a bat mitzvah.
We love you.
Mazel tov. This way it faces.
Nope.
Wait, no,
Okay. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kichanu b'mitzvotav, v'hitatev b'tzitzit.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
We thank you, God, for bringing us to this moment, this time in which Talia goes from being a child in our community to being that responsible adult. We continue our service with Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitgadal v'yitgadal shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma diburach yirtei ve'almith malchutei. B'chayachon uvyomechon u'chayei dekol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv ve'meru. Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach. Le'alam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitale v'yitala. Shemei dekudesha barihu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirchata. Tushbehata v'ne'emata. Damiran be'alma ve'meru. Amen.
We rise together in body or in spirit for the Baruch Hu, our call to worship.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamevorach. Baruch
our tradition that if you're wearing a talit, you take the seat from the four corners of your talit, bringing them together as we prepare for the singing of the words of Shema, this prayer that reminds us of our connection to our one God, to the oneness of our community. We can connect to God in moments like this of prayer, but also in how we choose to act in the world. We are reminded of that as we bring our seat up to our eyes and sing together the words of Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated as we continue with V'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברתם בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Each day we are to remember this moment, the Jewish people, this moment when we came out of Egypt and began our journey to the Promised Land. We were so lucky to be able to have God and to have Moses and Aaron to reach out their hands and to bring us out of slavery in Egypt and bring us to a place of freedom. We know now that because we live in this time of freedom, it becomes therefore our responsibility to take our hands and now reach out to others, to say, you need to be able to come on a journey to freedom as well, and I'm here to help you, to help make this world a better place in order for that to happen. We're reminded of that responsibility when we sing Mi Chamocha.
Yehuda veYisrael Go'aleinu Adonai Tzvaot Shemo Kedosh Yisrael Baruch Atah Adonai God Yisrael
you to rise in body or in spirit as we come to the Amidah, our central prayers of the service. We begin by reminding us of our ancestors that came before us. We then move on to learning and recognizing the powers of God in the world, and then recognizing the holiness of this community.
Adonai, sepai tevtivta, ufia gite hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezoher Hosei Avot Ve'imaot, Uvegilam Livnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo Be'achava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechai Hakol atah, Rav Lechoshia, Morid Hatal. Mechakel Haim Bechesed, Mechayei Hakol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Berofeh Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Gevurot, Umidomela, Melech Memit, Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, Vene'eman Ata Lechayot Hakol, Baruch Ata Adonai, Mechaye Hakol.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקראת על זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ, כבודו. אדיר, אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד לך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, לשבחך אלוהינו, מפינו לא ימוש לעולם הבא. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We take a few moments for our own silent prayers. It's a time for us to look within our own heart and soul for the blessings, the reflections, the words that we have on this Shabbat. When you are done, you may be seated.
Yahase Shalom, Yahase Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yahase Shalom, Yahase Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yahase Shalom, Yahase Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yahase Shalom, Yahase Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yahase Shalom, Yahase Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. We arrive now at really the pinnacle of our service. Though surely everything that Talia has done so far has brought such beauty to our worship, we arrive now at the Torah service, the thing that Talia has worked so hard for, and truly the moment that is really the height of worship for the Jewish people as we take our holiest teaching out of the Ark. And the Torah, as Talia's father mentioned, will now be passed through the generations until it reaches her arms. And so I call for this ritual, I call to come and line up for the ritual of passing the Torah, Lisa Miller, Tom Miller, Bob Merman, Judy Merman, of course, Alexis and Randy to pass the Torah to Talia. So Talia, I'm going to have you turn this way for just a moment while I talk to you. As your dad mentioned, we are passing this Torah through these generations because it is very intentional that Torah has reached you today. It has been the attentions of the generations who are standing before you, but of course those generations that came long before them to ensure that Torah would come to you this day. And it's such a perfect thing because one of my favorite things about working with you was your curiosity. We say as a Jewish people, we are rodfei Torah. We are seekers of Torah. And so many great questions came out of our lessons, even if it wasn't right what we were talking about. I loved your curiosity and your desire to learn more and to understand more and to feel like this was something you could really own. And that's the amazing thing about Torah. Even though Torah is a little bit heavy, the amazing thing of it is it actually makes us light. In a little while, we'll actually sing the words that say that those who seek Torah get great joy from this. And I hope that's what you get today. Even though you won't carry Torah physically with you, that when you carry its message, that it'll give you that feeling of joy, that feeling of lightness, that feeling of giving you that sense of purpose and mission in life. And so it is with great joy, but also with great expectation that we pass you Torah today. Because of course, that line that your dad talked about, we don't want it to end today. We want it to go in the other direction as well for generations to come, that you can be that important teacher of Torah, that you can be that important link in the chain. And so it is with great pride and great joy that we get from Torah, that we pass you the Torah now. Randy, I'll invite you to open the Ark as you will help pass the Torah, Lador Vador, from generation to generation.
Please rise.
We are gifts and we are blessings. We are history in song. We are hope and we are healing. We are learning to be strong. We protect this chain from generation to generation. Ledor vador, these lips will praise your name. Talia, now with this Torah in your arms, we invite you to chant the words of the Shema in the Torah service.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Beautiful. I'm going to invite your grandparents to go back to their seat. I'm going to invite Zoe and Lucia to join us on the bima. so that Talia, you and your family can prepare the table and the Torah for its reading. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho.
Please be seated. Today, Talia is going to be reading from Parshat Emor. It's in the book of Leviticus.
Yeah.
The Israelites have left Egypt. They have gone on their way. They got to Mount Sinai, received the 10 Commandments and more. And now we're trying to figure out, what does it mean to be a nation, to be a people? They were slaves before. They had never been a community of people before. And so we're trying to learn the lessons of how to do that. And so within these Torah portions around now, they're learning about what does it mean to be a sacred and holy people. And so specifically within this Torah portion, we hear about laws about what it's like to bring the sacrifices and how the priests are to do that, and then go into a lot of details about the holidays. The holidays are how we connect as a people, and that we are to celebrate them for generations to come. The same holidays that we celebrate today are mentioned within this week's Torah portion. You'll hear more about that later on. But for now, we're going to be listening to the words of Torah from Talia, and later she'll be giving her Devar Torah, her teaching of Torah.
For the first Aliyah this morning, we call on Talia's grandparents, Lisa Miller and Tom Miller. Yamdu haolim la'aliyah laTorah.
Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai.
Baruch hu et Adonai.
Baruch Adonai havarach leolam va'ed. Baruch Adonai havarach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol amin v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Daber el bnei Yisrael ve'amarta alehem ki tavo el haaretz asher ani noten lachem uksartem et ketzira v'havetem et omer reshit ketzirechem el hakohen Vehenif et haomer lifnei Adonai lirtzonechem mimohorat hashabbat yenifenu hakohen.
The Eternal spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the Israelite people and say to them, when you enter the land that I am giving to you, and you reap its harvest, you shall bring the first sheaf of your harvest to the priest. You shall elevate the sheaf before the Eternal for acceptance in your behalf. The priest shall elevate it on the day after the Sabbath."
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hayei olam natav betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Give her a hug.
Now we get to give her
Go back to your seat.
Yeah.
Thank you. For the second Aliyah, we call it Talia's grandparents, Bob Merman and Judy Merman, Talia's great aunt, Marcia Goldwater, and great uncle, Kenny Merman. Ya'amdu ha'olim la'aliyah la'torah.
Okay.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMavorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMavorach Eloheinu melech olam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Amen. Ba'asitem beyom hanifehem et ha'omer keves tamim ben shnato leola ladonai umin hato shenei esronim solet belula v'ashemen ishe ladonai rea nichoa benisko yain revi'it hahin velechem vekali vecharmel lo tochelu ad etzem hayom hazeh ad haviachem et korban Elohechem hukat olam ledorot echem behu moshevotechem.
On the day that you elevate the sheaf, you shall offer a burnt offering to the Eternal, a lamb of the first year without blemish. The meal offering with it shall be 2/10 of a measure of choice flour, with oil mixed in, and an offering by fire a pleasing odor to the Eternal. And the libation with it shall be of wine, 1/4 of hin. Until that very day, until you have brought the offering of your God, you shall eat no bread or parched grains or fresh ears. It is a law for all time, throughout the ages, and all your settlements.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher natan lanu Torah emet. V'chayei olam nata b'titzenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Thank you.
Get the first tough Bob.
Thank you. And now for the third Aliyah, we call it Talia's parents, Alexis and Randy. Yamzu ha'olim la'aliyah la'torah.
Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Amen. Usvartem lachem mimohorat haShabbat miyom haviahem et omer hatenufa sheva Shabbatot temimot tehiena ad mimohorat haShabbat hashvi'it tisperu hamishim yom vehikrotem mincha hadasha ladonai Mimoshevotehem taviu lechem tenufa shatayim shenei esronim solet tehiena hametz teyafena bikurim ladonai vehikrovtem al halechem shiv'at chevasim temimim b'nei shana ופר בן בקר אחד ואלים שניים יהיו עולה לאדוני ומנהתם בין עסקיכם אישי ריח ניחוח לאדוני ועשיתם שעיר עזים אחד לחטאת ושני כבשים בני שנה לזבח של עמים.
And from the day on which you bring the sheaf of elevation offering, the day after the Sabbath, you shall count off 7 weeks. They must be complete. You must count until the day after the 7th week. 50 days. Then you shall bring an offering of new grain to the Eternal. You shall bring from your settlements 2 loaves of bread as an elevation offering. Each shall be made of the 2/10 of a measure of choice flour, baked after leavening, as first fruits to the Eternal. With the bread you shall present as a burnt offering to the Eternal 7 yearling lambs without blemish, 1 bull of the herd, and 2 rams, with their meal offering and libations, an offering by fire a pleasing odor to the Eternal. You shall also offer 1 he-goat as a sin offering, and 2 yearling lambs as a sacrifice of well-being.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'hakei olam nata betohenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Wait, stay right there. We're going to stay up here for the last one.
And now, Talia, for the very first time, we now call you as a bat mitzvah to pronounce words of blessing before this Torah, your friends and family, and this holy congregation. Ta'amod, 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 ha-bachura bat ha-mitzvah, Talia bat Eliezer ve'Alexandra lelia la Torah, chazak.
Should I hold it? Okay. Baruch hu et Adonai hamavorah.
Baruch Adonai havarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamavorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vehenif hakohen otam al lechem habikurim tenufa lifnei Adonai al shenei chevasim kodesh yehiyu l'Adonai lakohen ukratem be'etzem hayom hazeh mikra kodesh yehieh lahem kol melechet avodah lo ta'asu hukat olam bechol moshevotehem ledorot echem uvkutzrachem et ketzir artzehem lo techale pe'at sadecha bekutzrecha veleket ketzirecha lo telaket le'ani velager ta'azov otam ani Adonai Elohechem.
The priest shall elevate these, the 2 lambs, together with the bread of first fruits as an elevation offering before the Eternal. They shall be holy to the Eternal for the priests. On the same day you shall hold a celebration. It shall be a sacred occasion for you. You shall not work at your occupations. This is a law for all time and all your settlements throughout the ages. And when you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap all the way to the edges of your field, or gather the gleaning of your harvest. You shall leave them for the poor and the stranger. I, the Eternal, am your God.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata betohenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
As our sacred Torah scroll is open, we take this moment to offer a blessing of healing. We think of those in our family, our community, and really the world around us of those who need this blessing of healing to help them to find wholeness in their lives. We think of them in our hearts as together we sing the words of Misha Berach.
Source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berach Mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Now, as we prepare to dress the Torah and return it to the Ark, I invite Zoe and Lucia to join us back on the bima to help us dress the Torah and also to open the Ark when we return the Torah to the Ark. I invite everyone to please rise. Ashlosha devarim, Ashlosha devarim, Ashlosha devarim haolam omed. Ashlosha devarim, Ashlosha devarim, Ashlosha devarim haolam omed. Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim. Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim. Etz chaim hi lamachazikim ba v'tomachecha me'ushar derachecha darchei noam v'chol netzivotecha shalom. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva chadesh yameinu kekedem. Please be seated. Talia has read so beautifully from the Torah, and now she's going to share with us her sermon, her teaching, her message from this week's Torah portion.
It has always been really important in my family for us to celebrate the holidays. On Passover, we always had a Seder with friends and family. On Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we always went to services. I always questioned my parents about why we needed to go, but also thought it was cool that I got to miss school. And on Hanukkah, we always lit the candles and got presents. Throughout my childhood, it was fun to celebrate these holidays with my family and Havrah, but I never understood why they were a big deal. It was just something that Jewish people did, and so we did it as well. As I got closer to becoming a bat mitzvah, and started Contra Costa Jewish Day School this year, I started to learn the meaning behind these things we always just did. There are so many rituals and customs that I hadn't really thought about. In this week's Torah portion, Emor, the Israelites are learning to become a people and given instructions about how to celebrate the 3 festivals of Sukkot, Passover, and Shavuot. As Moses is recalling God's instructions about Sukkot, he explains, "You shall live in booths 7 days. All citizens in Israel shall live in booths, in order that future generations may know that I made the Israelite people live in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I, your God, Adonai." As I read these instructions, I was drawn to the part about future generations. The holidays are not just about a celebration. It's about remembering the past and passing on to the future. Each ritual recalls something that happened in the past. Eating in the sukkah on Sukkot reminds us of the Israelites' journey through the wilderness. On Passover, everything that happens during the Seder reminds us of different parts of the Exodus story. For example, the bitter herbs remind us of the bitterness of slavery. It is not just the holidays that are written about in the Torah. It is all Jewish holidays. On Hanukkah, when we light the candles, we are reminded of the miracle of the oil lasting 8 days. Telling the stories of the past reminds us of where we came from and why we are here today. It helps us be grateful for how we got here and recognize what our ancestors did to strengthen our community over time. As we are celebrating the holidays, we are also passing on our traditions from one generation to the next. We are making sure that they don't get lost. If we choose not to celebrate them, the future generations might not know about our history or rituals. It is for these reasons that it has been important to my mom that we celebrate the holidays each year. The holidays are what make us a people. It is when we invite over friends and family for these celebrations that we are passing on our traditions. The holiday traditions give us our culture, our food, and make us who we are. Jews have lived throughout the world, and it is the holidays that have kept us connected. As I am becoming a bat mitzvah, I see how important it is to celebrate the holidays and continue to bring these traditions into my future. Through the celebrations that I've experienced this year through CCJDS, and now understanding the details behind the rituals, I feel more connected to living a Jewish life and passing it on to the next generation. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
In addition to everything that Talia has done today, leading us in worship, chanting from the Torah, teaching from Torah, she has a deeper understanding, part of what we hold as such an important value here at Temple Isaiah, and I know Talia and your family as well, which is taking on Tikkun Olam, repairing this very broken world we live in, working to make the world a better place. And so Talia has taken on what we call a mitzvah project, her opportunity that even at her young age to show that she truly can make a difference, that becoming a bat mitzvah is not something we do just on Shabbat morning, but something we do every day of our lives and everywhere we go. And so in lieu of a traditional Haftarah, which is the reading of the prophets, she's going to take that prophetic message of Tikkun Olam and share how she is making a difference in the world.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar binvim tovim beratza v'divrehem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai haboher batorah u'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo u'binvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek. During the pandemic, a lot of people in our local community have lost jobs and experienced other losses that make it difficult to pay for groceries. For my mitzvah project, I have been working with the Contra Costa Food Bank to help people in our community in need. Over the years, I have participated in many food drives through my schools, but through this volunteer experience, I've learned firsthand about the people who need food assistance in our local community. I went to different sites throughout the county to help with different projects. One week, I was at low-income apartments, bagging and passing out food to residents. And on other weeks, I helped with a food truck that goes around handing out fresh produce to people in need. It was very shocking to me how many people in our community are in need of food. I now have a better understanding of why we do these food drives and how important it is to participate in them. I will also be continuing this important work with the food bank in the future. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Zur kol holamim, tzadik bechol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer ve'osei, ha'medaber u'mekayem, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek. al haTorah ve'al havodah ve'al hanaviim ve'al yom haShabbat hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha ve'limelucha lechavod u'tifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim la umavarhim ota yitbarashim habefi kol hai tamid leolam vaed baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Amen. Talia, you can actually take that notebook of yours and you can just close it. It doesn't matter where it flies to now, because you are a bat mitzvah. It's been such an honor to get to know you through all these years, and especially to work with you as we prepared for this moment. I remember in 6th grade when you and actually some of your classmates that are here were getting ready to prepare for what we called creative tefillah. And we met in one of our classrooms to start brainstorming. And your energy was amazing. You could not stop talking, which is very Talia, but not stop talking, not just about other things, but getting excited about that moment where you guys were going to create this service that had you in it, with your creativity and your energy. And I've seen that from that moment on, as you've gotten to this moment, that energy of yours and that excitement to be able to connect into our traditions. You know, we read these parts about the holidays, and we know about the holidays. We learn about them in preschool. But as we talked about along the way, the basics are just the basics. It's what the meaning is behind those holidays that are so important. And that's what you've been learning about. You see, your dad had never even heard your Devar Torah, but he also connected into this idea of passing things on from generation to generation. He had no idea that's what was so special to you as well. And that's what it takes to be able to pass on to the next generation. To recognize that things like holidays, which we could just go on. We could just have another Monday or Tuesday of school. But what does it mean to actually take the day and to make it holy, to make it special? That's what it means to be part of the Jewish people. That's what it means to be able to be a sacred people. And that's what you have learned. You have learned that it takes this extra energy, this extra excitement to take these traditions and to pass them on. And so there'll be someday, I have a feeling, that me will need to take a break. And I feel like now I can pass on the title of Rabbi Miller to you. You can now be the one who can maybe during teen high holiday services in just a few months be the one to help teach. Because it isn't just about being a rabbi. It's about being an educated Jew, and that's who you are. And so I hope that you take this passion of yours as you enter in now to the teen years, next week being able to go to your first Knower Night of our teen school program, and soon to be able to go into all these other leadership opportunities here at Temple Isaiah and way beyond at CCJDS and even more, and hopefully being able to go to the land of Israel, to be able to go and take these traditions far beyond here, because you have the energy, the excitement, the passion, the love that we need in this Jewish community to be able to pass the traditions on from generation to generation. And so I invite up your parents now to join us with Cantor Corn. On this moment of transition, we offer you this blessing, this priestly benediction that will carry you forth on this next exciting part of your journey ahead.
Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha.
May God's light shine on you and upon you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha. Let's wait a moment.
Extra blessing.
Judy, you okay? Everyone's okay? Yes? Okay.
Let's start again.
Let's start again.
I feel like we really need a blessing for all of us.
יברכך אדוני וישמרך.
May God bless you and keep you.
יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך.
May God's light shine upon you and be gracious to you.
יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך shalom.
May God's presence always shine on you, in you, and through all the amazing things you'll do in life. And may God grant you, your family, this community, and way beyond with the most precious of gifts, the gift of wholeness, the gift of peace. And let us all say together, Amen.
Amen.
And give a big hug. And you can go back to your seats as I invite everyone to please rise as we come to our concluding prayers, beginning with Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Our thoughts now turn to our loved ones who are no longer with us. We remember first from our community Shirley Dembe and Don Bruner. We also remember Talia's great-grandparents, Frank Miller, Joan Miller, Betty Rosenstein, Alan Rosenstein, Ida Sanders, Bernie Sanders, Beatrice Merman, and Irving Merman. We keep all of them in our hearts as together we recite the mourner's Kaddish. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, v'alman divrach chirutei v'amlik malchutei, b'chayachon uvyomechon uv'chayet dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'richu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Damiran v'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'romav, uya aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen.
Oseh shalom b'romav, uya aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Ve'yimeru. Amen. once again, Talia, we say Mazal Tov to you and your family. I'm going to invite you guys to step forward, you and your parents and your sisters, and just step to the end of the patio and turn around to face the camera. We're going to do this right now because we're going to sing Siman Tov Mazel Tov, and I want them to be able to see you as we shower words of congratulations and joy on you. Immediately following, if you're joining us on Zoom, don't log off because we have a wonderful tribute video that Talia's family has prepared. And of course, everyone who's in attendance will draw a little bit closer to do your best to maintain social distance, but draw a little bit closer to our screen so you can also delight in this wonderful tribute. Truly a wonderful day for our community. Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Yahelanu, 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 Olecho Yisrael, Yahelanu, Yahelanu, Olecho Yisrael. Yahelanu, Yahelanu, Olecho Yisrael. Yahelanu, Yahelanu, Olecho Yisrael. Mazal Tov and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We can all start moving kind of in this direction. You can even come into the garden so you can